background noise until it's your turn to talk. And for some of you, this may be your first time joining us for an idea exchange. We try and have these monthly on different topics of importance, either our initiatives through Shaker or topics that are of interest to our clubs, and try and give a little bit of a informational session and training, and then move into just basically question and answer and sharing time period. And we are going to leave plenty of time for that at the end. Tonight's webinar is on Shaker Metas, our Rotary International President's initiative of empowering girls. And we have several different presenters tonight to give some different ideas and opportunities for you, for speakers in your clubs, and to share some information with you. So I'm Jane Roush. I'm district governor for 6540. I think most of you know that by now, but I'm glad to have you joining us tonight. And hopefully this will be of benefit to you and also to us to help us get more information as far as what your needs are, as far as planning these programs and what your successes have been as far as educational programs and projects even already, because I know some of you have already done some projects to assist and help others in empowering girls. We're going to start with a PowerPoint, and I'd like to first of all welcome our guests before we get into that. First is Jessika Hane, who is past district governor. She's waving from there from 6580, and she is our current Zone 30 ambassador for Powering Girls. And she is going to join me in doing a PowerPoint presentation, which, as Jessika said, normally takes about 25 to 30, and we're going to try and flip through it pretty fast in about 10, but just gives you the opportunity to know that that would be available to you to use at a club meeting if you'd like to. We'll have it up on the district website after the event tonight. And then also we have Chris Russell joining us from Destiny Rescue, and he's going to talk a little bit about their program. They have memorandums of understanding in 9 countries to rescue women from human trafficking. Not always just women, but mainly it's women. And then also Donna Plummer from Beloved Not Forgotten in Warsaw, which is a group. It's a lot of things, and I'm gonna let her share, but she actually has an apartment where she can house women who have been in human trafficking and that they've brought out from that, and also has a lot of other programs where she helps them come back into society and enter back into a life that can be of value to them. And so I'll let her, she can share it a lot better than I can in that respect. At this point in time, I'm going to start sharing my screen and bring up the PowerPoint, and Jessika and I will go from there. So I have that. There is it there.
I've got it too, Jane, if you need, but.
Well, I have it up now, but then I went all the way through it and forgot to share it before I started it. So my fault. Sorry about that. Like I said, this is not my first rodeo, but you might think that it is. Now we will go. I'm in my top bar.
And Jane, I might mention while you're getting it ready, this presentation is available. I am also available if your clubs are meeting via Zoom to come and do the presentation for your club in a 25 to 30 minute presentation. And the one thing that we should mention is that anytime, if you're presenting on your own, it is always a good idea to add in a section about child protection. I do not believe that is in this slide deck, but it's always important to mention that anytime we're working with children, that we always want to take the proper steps to care for them appropriately, not take pictures of them unless we have authorization, and all of that. So we're not going into that today, but I would just make sure we caution everybody to know that this deck does not touch on those topics.
Okay, and Jessika, since you've been doing this, I'm going to let you go from here.
Oh, great. And I like that you're clicking. So if you just keep clicking, I'll just keep talking. And I'm from Logansport, Indiana, originally, everybody. So I love whenever I get a chance to visit District 6540. So, Jane mentioned that Empowering Girls is a Rotary International presidential initiative. When I talk about this with clubs, one of the biggest questions I get is, well, of course, we're Rotary. We love helping kids. Of course, we're Rotary. We care about the empowerment of women. And those are wonderful things. But just to level set ourselves for tonight, we are absolutely talking about girls. We're talking about infants to 18-year-olds, specifically girls. And we're going to talk about why it's important. And I know that all of you joining us tonight already know that this is an extremely important topic. And I'm not going to read the stats as we go through, but at first glance, it feels like this is a very global initiative that doesn't impact us here in Indiana. But I just think the fact that Jane has been able to put together this amazing panel tonight, we can see that this is stuff that really impacts us at home. And the one other thing I would mention before you advance the slide is really good news. We do have advanced information that current incoming Rotary International President Jennifer Jones intends to continue this initiative next Rotary year. And this is amazing for those of us who have been around long enough to know that if Rotary changes its initiatives every year, we don't have enough time to really make an impact. But this is work that we will absolutely continue next year. And so why is it important? Well, here are a few statistics that I can share tonight really quickly. And Jane, you can go to the next slide. Okay. There is a preference around the world for sons. And this leads to all kinds of issues that our girls face, right? The preference for son leads to more abortions, infanticide, and other means that reduce female population around the world. And there's also all these cultural expectations that girls face, limiting the time that they have to spend in school, getting an education, to study, and to participate in life outside of their homes. If we go to the next slide, we can talk about health and nutrition. Girls face significant uphill challenges when it comes to malnutrition, obesity, and eating disorders. They face images in the media that tell them to be a certain size, to look a certain way, and this impacts their overall health and nutrition. Health and hygiene, which is the next slide. There's some interesting stats on this slide, and the one that I think really drives home for me, I grew up in the late 80s, and we were taught about HIV in school, and I remember thinking, I'm not sure if this will ever end. And the sad news is that HIV has increased 31% since the early 90s in girls ages 10 to 19. And these slides aren't super happy, everybody, but we're going to talk about what we can do to make a difference in a little bit. Another big one here that girls in our communities face is lack of access to menstrual hygiene products. And there's a great website. It's called the Alliance for Period Supplies, and it gives statistics about period poverty. And Indiana, the last time I checked, and I'm not an expert, 1 in 5 teens and women face a shortage in accessing period products each month. So that's 12 times a year where they are faced with not being able to find the hygiene products that they need. And again, talk to experts about this because they're going to be able to tell you a lot more. Child marriage. This is, again, something that we don't think we face in the US, but we absolutely do. And child marriage leads to reduced educational attainment and reduced economic attainment, not only for the girls, but for their families and for society. Child marriage also leads to another issue, which is adolescent pregnancy. which is our next slide. And we know maternal and child health, that's one of Rotary's 7 areas of focus, right? And you can see on this slide that adolescent pregnancy and the children that are born of adolescent pregnancy, that's one of the leading causes of death for girls ages 15 to 19. And their babies face higher risks. Again, I'm going through this super fast, everybody. And then education and skills. So basic education and literacy is being denied to some 60 million girls worldwide. And here at home in the US, we see lack of access to certain educational programs, teams, clubs that girls are just not quite fully welcome in yet. And what we know is that if a girl completes her secondary education, she reaps long-term benefits, not just for her, but for her entire family and her community as well. And we also know that the cost of fixing that problem, right? Getting a girl back into school after she's missed it in her formative years is much more expensive. It costs us a lot more to get someone back up to speed than if we can keep them in school for their entire time. Then violence against girls. Again, we're going to hear a little bit more about this tonight, but human trafficking is something that affects our local communities. It's not limited to education level. It's not limited to socioeconomic status or any other traditional metric. And it's something we should talk to experts about. And violence against girls continues to be felt in all of our local communities. I think we've got one more. Oh, so what can Rotary do? And again, I'm going through this so fast, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do in a little bit. But our clubs and Rotarians are already doing really good work to improve the lives of girls. And one of the most important things that we should do is to have conversations about how we can help, like we're doing tonight, sharing ideas, talking about the challenges that girls face in our communities, speaking to experts. Just being a girl doesn't make me an expert, right? I need to talk to people who know about the issues that girls are facing in our communities, and then brainstorm with our clubs, because we might have different ideas about how we could help. We might know about a problem that is really challenging for an organization or a group, but someone else in our network might have the fix for it, right? Or might know someone else who can help. So I think we have time at the end tonight where we're going to share and talk about these ideas. And then I think you've got, I don't know exactly which slide deck we're using. So, lots of resources. Again, we'll share this one, and you can go onto My Rotary. You can go onto the Presidential Initiative page and get lots of really great inspiration from other Rotarians about how we can make a difference. I think there might be, oh yes. And this final one, this is the slide of hope, right? So, and this is what makes me really excited to be a Rotarian, right? We have the network, the money, and the wherewithal to make an amazing difference in an entire generation of the lives of girls by doing these small projects and these big projects, by working together and by raising awareness. And it's such an amazing topic to keep talking about, but that's just an overview of the slide deck. And again, I'd be happy to talk more about this with your clubs. As a Zone Empowering Girls Ambassador, that's my entire job, is to help educate clubs on this really important initiative. So that's like 8 minutes. Thanks. I hope I covered everything you wanted me to, Jane. I just went really fast.
No, you did a great job. And part of this is that we wanted to give you the overview of the Empowering Girls Initiative because it is so broad. I know that when I visited clubs, we talked a lot about that our district governors in Zone 30 and 31 kind of shared together that we wanted to focus on more education in terms of ending human trafficking as well. But I think, as we saw in the slides, there's so many different opportunities in each of our communities to make some real differences in empowering girls in a lot of different ways. And I'm glad that we are going to have this continued for the next year also, because we really kind of said this year we want to educate as much as possible. And then we will move more into more projects and continuing to build on what we've learned this year and what each club has. So we're going to have all of our presenters first, and then we'll start answering questions, sharing things that you've done, because I know there's several club representatives on here that have already done some really great things. The next presenter that I'm going to ask to unmute and speak is Chris Russell from Destiny Rescue. And I'd like for him to share kind of twofold, a little bit about what they do in their rescue program, but also they have a prevention program in the schools that they do. And I asked if he would talk a little bit about that, because I think that's important for our youth here in the United States to be aware also that this is a major issue. Chris?
Hey, thanks everybody. It's awesome to be with you this evening. So our founder, Tony Kerwin, we've been doing this for 20 years now. Tony went to Thailand in 1998, and on vacation, while he was on vacation, he overheard what turned out to be a trafficker talking to another tourist, offering a young child for $400 to do whatever they wanted with that young child. And that became the introduction for him into this reality of children being sex trafficked around the world. And he went back home, but this just didn't let go of him. And in 2001, he ended up selling his stuff. He was an electrician by trade. They moved to Thailand. They started rescuing kids out of sex trafficking and have been doing it ever since. So we just celebrated 20 years this past year. We are a few things to know about Destiny Rescue. We are an international faith-based organization that focuses primarily on rescuing underage girls out of sex trafficking. You showed the slide there, talked about when it comes to human trafficking, about 51% of the victims are female. When we talk about sex trafficking, we're talking more like 97, 98% are female. So our primary focus is underage girls. In the process of that, we certainly get a number of 18 to 25-year-old girls, and some that are older than that. On average, on a yearly basis, maybe about 3 or 4% of our rescues end up being males. But we partner with about 100 or so organizations around the world, and some of those specialize in aftercare for boys. So if we rescue males, we refer them to that. Our aftercare specializes for underage girls. This past year was an amazing year. So our rescue goal this past year was just under 1,300. And just a couple days ago, I got our final numbers for last year, and we rescued 2,386 last year. And that includes 2 8-month-olds. The 8-month-olds were the youngest ones that we rescued. A lot of people think kidnapping. Kidnapping is not extremely common when it comes to trafficking. It's not the norm. People see movies and think that that's the way it is. It's really, we're talking about social media and the grooming process. And so we have a program that's called Rescue Op 120. You can check it out at rescueop120.com. And it's our initiative for our students. So we're talking elementary, junior high, middle school, college, high school kids that are part of this initiative. And the tagline for it is rescuing kids like me. And that's exactly what they're doing. Before COVID, that year before COVID, when our youth groups and schools and colleges were really still able to go after everything full throttle, we had teenagers basically raising over $150,000 to set their peers free. And that is unbelievable. So we get to go into high schools. I know I'm from Goshen and got into a local high school 3 times this year, got to speak to all the freshmen and the sophomores and juniors. And I tell you what, I got 4 kids. My wife and I adopted 3 girls 4 years ago. They're now 18, 14, and 8, and there's nothing I wouldn't do to keep my girls safe. And my guess is you would say the same thing about your girls and your grandkids as well. We would do anything to keep them safe. And a lot of that is this prevention side of things. Our kids need to know what's happening and how they can keep themselves safe. So I put my dad hat on when I'm talking to students, and I talk to them about social media, because it's really about a grooming process. Traffickers are grooming kids, and they're using social media in massive ways. So if you have kids or grandkids that are on social media, or even your grandkids, if they're playing video games and they have chat features, there's traffickers all over those chat features. So those conversations need to happen to keep them safe. But I talk to girls about the kinds of pictures they post. I talk to guys about the link between pornography and this bigger engine of sex trafficking, because it's conversations that we need to be about. And I have no doubt that because we're doing that, kids are being rescued, not even knowing they're being rescued. They're like being protected because they're more aware of the games that traffickers play to be able to get them. So we're excited about that. But we do, as Jane mentioned, you have to have an MOU to rescue in different countries, and we have 9 of those, 9 different countries. Our goal is to be in 30 countries by the end of 2030. So we're already in conversations with the next 4 or 5 countries. But it really, we want to rescue kids, but we want to make sure they stay free as well. But we do border crossing rescues. We do covert rescues where we're going in and pretending to be customers. We have raids where we go in and our guys have the undercover body cameras on them and they're gathering evidence that can use in a court of law against the traffickers, all those kinds of things. But it doesn't do us any good to set kids free if we're not empowering them to stay free. So that is a lot of that what you call the aftercare. We call it the freedom path. So it's coming alongside those girls and the people who know them best, making sure that all their medical needs are met, their relational needs, physical, spiritual, social, educational needs are all met so that they can be successful, that they can be reintegrated into society, and that they can have bright and promising futures. So it is a holistic approach to that. And that's where we rely a lot on our ministry partners around the world, because as we continue to grow, I mean, when you're rescuing 2,400 in 1 year, you've got to figure out partners that can come alongside you and help these kids be successful for the long haul. So we're super excited about what we're doing on. I know Rick's on the call. He's going to be sharing a little bit about what Goshen Rotary did and everything like that. But so thanks for the chance to be able to just be with you this evening and share about this. And I'm excited that there's this many people that have hearts for doing something about this. And Donna, it's nice to see you. I look forward to hearing about your ministry and connecting. I just took my daughter down. She just moved her in at Grace College. She's going to be starting classes on Wednesday there. So look forward to hearing more about your ministry as well. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris, for sharing. And we'll be opening up for questions and answers. Chris, I would invite you to put your contact information in the chat in case people would like. I mean, we have several club presidents on here today, and if they would like to have a speaker, I know I've heard him at a club meeting, at the Kendallville Club meeting in the past, and he does an excellent job. So he's an opportunity for you. And if you have questions as we're going through, you can certainly put them in the chat, or we'll just open it up and share here in a little bit too. But next, I would like to welcome Donna Plummer, who is with Beloved Not Forgotten, and that is in Warsaw, Indiana. And she's one of the first ones that I met when I started my educational path to try and find out more. And so she certainly opened my eyes and brought my heart into, wow, it's happening here locally. So I'm going to invite Donna to unmute and share a little bit about what is happening here in Indiana and what they're doing at Beloved Not Forgotten. Donna?
Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this conference today. I am really excited about it. Hello, everyone. I am Donna. Beloved Not Forgotten is only 6 years old. I got my start in Thailand. Thailand with a heart for these young people who are being trafficked. In Thailand, I learned how the situation was in the United States.
Donna, you're cutting up on us here.
Okay.
That sounds better. Let's try it now.
Okay, so when I was in Thailand, I started learning about how bad the situation was in the United States. And if you're like me 6 years ago, 10 years ago actually now, I had no clue trafficking was a big thing in the United States. And my ideas about trafficking was more of the women who were being trafficked, one, were women, two, were from other countries, not the US. Is the sound any better?
Okay. Yes, it is. I had muted myself. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. So when I came back to the United States from Thailand, God just moved my heart. Something needed to happen here. So I started researching, And over the course of the past 6 years, I have discovered that since 2016, there have been over 600, over 600 confirmed cases of youth who are confirmed child survivors. Of the numbers are a little different in the United States than they are overseas. In the United States, estimated that the reported 11% of them are male.
Donna, now we lost you altogether. I'm not hearing you, at least.
Okay.
A little bit, yes.
I will tell people that one of the things that she said, and I think that is important, is since 2016, she had stated that there's over 600 confirmed youth that have been trafficked in the state of Indiana. And there's a lot of statistics that you can go to get
Yes.
that. So that was kind of breaking up a little bit, and I did get it because she's talked to me before about it. So. Okay, try again here, Donna.
So overseas, the average entry into trafficking is 14 to 16 years old. In the United States, average entry is 12 to 14, partly because we have better access to the internet than overseas. The same runs true in the United States as runs true overseas, and that poverty is one of the biggest reasons. Poverty and runaway youth are the biggest reasons that children are pulled into trafficking. In the United States, 30% of trafficking survivors, 36% of trafficking survivors have been trafficked by their immediate family. So when we think of trafficking, we're thinking of people being moved around from city to city or state to state or even out of country. But often it's the child's family that is trafficking them. Only 9% are taken by total strangers. There's also the boyfriend, girlfriend factor in the picture here. So most kids know their trafficker somehow. I love that Destiny Rescue is getting in and talking to kids about the dangers of the internet. It is something that is so important for our kids to understand. Beloved Not Forgotten is actually working with the 18 to 24-year-old age group per request of the Indiana Trafficking Victims Assistance Program. That is where they are seeing the largest need right now as they go on these stings in Fort Wayne, Elkhart, South Bend, areas around this place, around Warsaw. The largest age group they're bringing girls out of are age 18 to 24, and those women really don't have a whole lot of places to go, and they end up back on the street. So we've just had our very first long-term placement in November. She came along with her 16-year-old daughter, and we are very excited about the opportunity to be able to serve her. Our tagline is lives reclaimed, destinies transformed, purposes fulfilled. So we also touch every aspect of life: health, education, mental status, spiritual status. We are faith-based. Our goal is that these girls come to the place where they find the purpose God created them for and are able to lead healthy lives that are proclaiming who they are.
Yep, she's coming back in.
Put back to our local communities. We have an education program. I've been able to get into some of the locals here also, talking to churches, talking to organizations like yours, parents and grandparents have a huge responsibility in educating their children on self-esteem. Helping our children recognize their value and their worth is one of the biggest ways to make sure that they aren't trafficked. When they have a high self-esteem understanding of their value, likely
Donna, you're cutting out again here, but I think she's, whoops, I think we may have lost her again. She's having trouble with her internet. Here it's coming back in. I will say that when I met Donna the first time, and she has done a couple of different programs for the Warsaw Rotary Club, one early on and one just on Friday, and is available. I'll have Donna put her information in the chat if she can. If not, I will be glad to put that in for you. She told me when we met about receiving a phone call from a girl that was in a hotel in South Bend. And I shared this with most of our clubs when I spoke. And I think that's when my eyes went, whoa. And I said, wow, this is close. And she said that she got the call. She had found her number on the internet to call and said, I have an hour to get out. Can you help me? And Donna was able to reach a cab company that she thought would help that girl and then get her to Warsaw. And that's when I knew that it was time for us in District 6540 to work on ways to make a difference for our girls and our boys, but especially right now to make a difference for girls in human trafficking. And I also agree with a lot of the other initiatives that were shared in the PowerPoint, that there's so many different things that we need to do for girls to empower them, but that one just really hit me. At this point in time, I think I would like to ask Rick Yoder to just share a little bit about the Goshen Club partnered with Destiny Rescue this fall and did a fundraiser. And I'd like for him to just give maybe just a minute or two about what they did and the success that they had with that.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. So our club had Chris Russell come and speak, I think 2 years ago, and I was pretty touched by Chris's words. There's a YouTube video out there called Less Than the Price of a Beer, and it's just as it sounds, where Tony Kerwin went in and was performing a rescue undercover and was told the price for a beer. And then when he negotiated the price for a girl that was there, it was less than the cost of his beer. And that's one of the things that they do when they go in is act as a perp, as a way to get the girls out of the situation. And then they take them and have them talk to a female social worker and help rescue them. And when I heard that, it pretty well brought me to tears. And I thought, we need to do something about this. It's about $1,500 for rescuing one girl and getting her started on the road to freedom. And so we decided to do what we called a freedom walk. Steve Hope, the Goshen School superintendent, is one of our club members and allowed us to use the Goshen High School track as a place to do our walk. And then it was a matter of getting people to donate money and be a part of the walk. We had set an original goal of raising $40,000 for Destiny Rescue, and final numbers finally came in. We were over 129,000, or 86 girls rescued. So it was an amazing opportunity. We were very excited about the numbers. We would love to have your clubs partner with us if you'd want to be a part of that. If you'd want to donate, whatever way you'd want to do it. If you'd want to have a walk in your local area, I'd be happy to answer questions about how we did it. One of the things that was really exciting about our opportunity was that there was no cost. The cost for the school, the track, and everything was completely covered by the school. And we had t-shirts that were covered by a couple of our Rotarians. We had water that was donated. All the 129,000 went directly to Destiny Rescue to rescue girls. So it was really Awesome. Very exciting. We have an article coming out in Rotary International magazine detailing the event. And so be looking forward to that. And like I said, I'd certainly be happy to come. And I know Chris would be happy to come to your club and talk more about the event and partner with you to raise money for Destiny Rescue.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
I'm also going to put Carla and Jody Herr on the spot for a moment because I went to their club very early in the year and just kind of threw out, get a speaker, and they had someone get their own speaker, but then they did a project too that was kind of fun. So you want to share on that one?
Sure. Well, initially we did a designer purse bingo, and the designer purse bingo was 100% a fundraiser. But my husband, Jody, who's the president of our club now, had this brilliant idea asking for bra donations for the Free the Girls organization. And Free the Girls organization collects bras, and they clean them and they donate them to women in, I believe it's Costa Rica, Mozambique right now, that have been rescued from sex trade. And they set them up with these bras that they are able to sell in the market, and it gives them a way to become self-supportive and take care of themselves after they've been rescued from sex trafficking. So we had our nice little designer purse bingo, had a lot of fun, and 200 people that came donated 1,000 bras. So we were able to, our club came together and we donated $1,000 so we could ship 1,000 bras to the women in need. So it's a freethegirls.org, and it's in Chesterton, Indiana, and they're doing amazing things. But it was great having Jody stand up in our clubs and like, we need to collect bras, and a couple of men laughed, stared them right down, and we got the bras.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Good job, Jody. Okay.
But I love seeing all of the men involved with this. It makes me just so grateful and happy because little girls need their dads, and I agree that you got to put the dad voice on and respect all you guys. Thank you.
Carla, we had Joe speak to our Rotary Club the other day, and he said to tell you guys that he'll be down to pick up those big garbage cans of bras as soon as he's able. So.
Everybody in our, Joe also runs a tap, and everybody's fighting about who gets to deliver them to the tap room in Chesterton.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful speaker, and it's a wonderful organization. I'm grateful that we got a chance to meet him.
Good, yes, it is. The repository is in the little town of Chesterton for the whole world.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
For participating, it was great.
Oh, thank you guys too. I appreciate you.
Okay, do we have some, Jessika, do you have anything you would like to add as far as other projects that you've heard about in our different districts around the zone?
Frantically moving my mouse to try to unmute. I apologize. Well, again, the ideas are really in this Zoom room, right? And I just am so inspired by what we've shared so far tonight. That the thing I would mention is that an Empowering Girls project is just like what you're hearing tonight, and it can be education to others in your community, right? It can be building awareness. It can be fundraising. It can be supply drives. It can be paying for education or scholarships. It can be, building things and painting buildings that, are for girls. I visited a club in my district, and we were vacationing in Brown County. My husband and I did a little 3-day weekend getaway around fall break. And I went to visit a club to drop off a foundation award. I wasn't speaking, but the club's program was about a middle school that was doing a STEAM lock-in for girls, right? Science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And it was a great program. And I was talking to somebody I was sitting next to about this Empowering Girls initiative. And they said, well, we don't know what we would do. And at the end, the speaker said, and thank you, Rotary Club, for serving the pizzas at lunch and for paying for the t-shirts and for sponsoring girls. And I said, that's an Empowering Girls project, right? You've just supported something that is is helping girls in your community. So it could be anything. There's a club in one of the districts in our zone that is creating period positivity packs, right? They've asked club members to bring in cosmetic pouches, which if you don't know, every time you buy a set of lipstick and a mascara from a cosmetic counter, you get a bag, and women have these in their closets, and you bring these in and we stuff them full of period supplies, and then also stuff Ziploc bags full of refills and give these to your local women's center or Girls Inc. or something like that. So that's another one. And then another one that we're hearing about a lot is clubs partnering with local Girl Scout troops. And I also have 3 little girls and 1 son, and our little girls are actually in Scouts. So Scouts BSA, right? Boy Scouts now allows girls in. And so they have girls troops in Scouts, and we also have Girl Scouts, and you could do an educational program for Scouts in your community. You could help them learn something, share a skill that you have. So those are just some, just a few ideas, but we'd love to hear from anybody who might have another idea. You could put it in the chat, or we could talk about it, because it's pretty limitless what you could do that would fall under this initiative.
Okay, and I'll kind of open it up to people that either have questions or comments on projects or programs that they have done, or are looking for programs or projects. I will say that what Jessika was talking about with the personal packs or that type of thing, that is one of the things that we're planning to do at our district conference in May, is have a couple of different service projects. And one of those will be asking for donations for the district of bring your nice little bags in and donating some funds or some personal supplies for girls, so that then we can share those. A lot of times we don't have one of the actual groups in our district that like is tied into the Alliance for Period Supplies, but most of the local food banks and different women's shelters are always looking for those types of items. And so we will then distribute them back out to areas. So we're going to try and do that as a project together, though, at district conference. So you'll be seeing more about that soon. Questions?
Jane?
Christina, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question about, somebody mentioned an organization in Chesterton, and I think I just read something. Whoever mentioned that, could you talk a little bit more about how you can get about it? I think there was an article about the woman who is the, I don't know if she's the executive director or president. I don't know the administrative level.
Yeah, I would be glad to send you information about it, about who you can contact. If I can have your email, if you could put it in the chat.
I'll put it in the chat. Thank you very much, Barbara. Sure.
Yeah. Well, in fact, like I said, I have volunteered to work that they used to have packing parties, but they stopped that for COVID, but they're going back to it soon, hopefully, where you all get together, about 40 people or so, and you sort bras. You've got the really good never been used, you've got the pretty good, and then you've got those are bad, we're going to throw them out. And by the end of the evening, they've boxed 40, 50 huge boxes, because they send boxes of 180 or so bras to each of these women that was talked about earlier. And it's phenomenal. The story is just incredible. And for it to be in Chesterton, we're a small town, but it was started by a man from Chesterton, and as Carla can tell you about it too. But I'll be glad to send you a lot of some documentation on it. Okay.
What is the purpose of the organization?
They help women in Mozambique, in Costa Rica, and other countries that the sales of bras are very limited. You have to be really rich to buy a brassiere anywhere.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what these women do. They start a business. It's to help them start a business. They get their first box free. The other boxes have a small fee to them, but the huge expense, of course, is the shipping costs.
Yeah.
They've got some good partners, but it's still terribly expensive. So I won't delay this group today, but it's phenomenal. So I'll send that to Jane as well. Is anyone else who'd like to see about it?
Thank you.
Sure.
Isn't it called freethegirls.org?
Freethegirls.org, yeah.
Okay, so I put that in the chat too.
Oh, did you? Thanks.
I just did. I wanted to make sure I was correct on their name, but I thought that's what it was because I've looked it up. It's very interesting. So
if I could just butt in real quickly, and I won't talk anymore after this.
Go ahead.
But we're working on, trafficking, the issue. I'm working on it with Rotary and also with SHRM, which is an HR organization. Some of you might know that. And so I have two avenues that I'm following. We have a speaker that we're looking at, and I'm really happy to see those of you tonight who spoke. So maybe I'll be considering one of you as well. But in Munster, we have an organization. It's called Save CHR. And there's a Dr. Gopal who is a big speaker about trafficking. So that's who we're kind of looking at right now. But when we have this with Rotary, what we're going to do is we're going to have a box for bring toiletries for women, primarily for the young women. And we're also going to invite our sister chapters, the Kiwanis Club and the Exchange Club, so that they can come and join us and watch the speaker that we bring to our meeting. Under SHRM, we're going to utilize, or we're going to have one of these, either the Save CHR, or I might talk to one of you, but we have a non-for-profit partner every year that we work with, and we allow them to come to our meetings and to ask for donations and what have you. So we're working really hard on it. And Jane, I hope when we get the meeting finalized that you might be able to join us as well. So thank you all.
I would love to attend. I would love to be part of that.
Barbara, I would love to know more about what you're doing with SHRM too. I'm a SHRM member as an HR professional as well. So
sure, absolutely. I've got your email.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Jane, I forgot to mention that the Freedom Walk that we did this past September, we are also doing again October 8th of 2020. And our goal for that is to rescue 100 girls or $150,000. So wanted to just put that plug in there as well. Can't believe
October 8th of 2022.
Yeah, he did mean 2022.
Yeah. What did I say?
Backwards to 2020.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
yeah.
For lost
Yes,
time. We're making
2022.
up for lost time.
That's okay. It's just the first part of January. It's always that time period where you're going, okay,
Yes.
what year are we in?
Yes.
So, anyone else with questions or comments? That's what this time is for, and we're wanting to give you opportunities. Or has anybody else done a program that they would like to share that would be of interest to the rest of the group? Any questions? I know, I did the old.
Jane, can I share my screen? There's one other slide in my slide deck that I wanted to show everyone really quickly. Is that okay with you?
That is fine.
Okay. As you are doing these projects, we really, can you see it says Rotary Showcase? Yes. Okay. We're asking, I think Rotary, we're so good at just doing the good work in the world, right? But we don't always talk about what we do. And so Rotary International is really encouraging clubs to put your projects into Rotary Showcase. So I'm happy to walk through this. I'm going to send a couple of you an email about this afterwards, but you go to My Rotary, this is a screenshot, and you hover over Take Action. It gets like a real wormhole, everybody, but you hover over Take Action. Then you hover over Develop Projects, and then you hover over Rotary Showcase. I did not make this website, right? It's really hard to get to, but if you scroll into Rotary Showcase, you can search for other empowering girls projects. And like Jane said in the beginning, we're kind of all about education right now. So there are not a lot of projects in Rotary Showcase that fall under empowering girls specifically. But when you get in there, it looks like this. So if you've ever looked for a global grant for your club or wanted to find other projects in the world that you could participate in, you go to Rotary Showcase. Nobody knows about it. It's like this hidden gem within my Rotary, but you can search for empowering girls projects. And there's some that are active and some that have been completed. And like, this is an example you can see in the bottom photo, President Shaker is there wearing a mask. This was a menstrual hygiene project where they taught girls how to make reusable pads. And so it helped them, and it also helped them be self-sufficient and have something that they could sell. So this was an empowering girls project and a community development project. And then here's another one. This was a maternal and child health project that should have been classified as an empowering girls project as well. Teaching girls in a shelter for victims of domestic abuse, teaching them how to grow organic vegetables or an organic garden. So I'm going to be reaching out to a few of you just to help get more projects into Rotary Showcase, so that, again, we can tell this amazing story about everything that we're doing. So just wanted to share that because I could.
Thanks, Jessica. And, you know, I think that is really important because so many times we think, oh, we didn't really do that much. We just had a bunch of people bring in bras and we took them. But it is a big deal. And for a lot of our clubs, that is a huge project for them to do and to participate in and to be part of. And so I think, and then sharing that, because so many of us, especially in smaller clubs, are looking for projects that we can do like that, where we can engage others in addition to just ourselves. I mean, the Rensselaer Club, I know, just did a lot with the tornado victims in Kentucky, and that wasn't empowering girls, but it's amazing how when the Rotary Club takes the lead and all of the volunteers from a whole community get together then, and we can really make amazing difference throughout the world. And that's even the same with the Goshen. I mean, Rick would say, yes, the Rotary Club took the lead, but it took the entire community to raise those kinds of funds. But it was because of the respect that we have as Rotarians that we were able to accomplish such great work. And so it starts small, but then it just continues to blossom. And that's what excites me, and I always enjoy hearing. And so let's share it then with others. You know, we're always asking you to put things in our district newsletter too. It's basically just taking that same thing then and putting it in the Rotary Showcase. Like Jessica said, it takes a few minutes to hover over each one and get to the spot, but it's worth it. And it gives you a lot of great opportunities to go in and look at. I know when I was president of my club, it was a great tool to find out different options to use for club projects, and a very small club for me. So anyone else, any last minute thoughts or questions? It's got to be at least one question. Nancy, it almost looked like you were raising your hand. The cat's tail was like curved right in front of you. I love Zoom meetings for that, because you just never know who's going to join us. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'm not one to keep people on. If we're done for the evening, then we're done. I thank you for all for being here. I thank especially our presenters, Jessika, Hane. It's always a pleasure to have you with us up here in District 6540. You're welcome anytime. And she is a wealth of information on the Empowering Girls Initiative, not just the ending human trafficking, but the entire initiative of building self-esteem and building up our young students. Chris from Destiny Rescue, thank you for sharing with us and your work that you're doing and making a difference around the world. Donna, for your work that you're doing with Beloved Not Forgotten, and how we're starting to really help women as they've been brought out to lead a better life and hopefully get them back on the right track. To all of you, I appreciate the work that you're doing. Your hearts, I know, I've seen them. I know what they do. Rick, Great job with your project, and I know you're planning to make it even better. Carla and Jody, same thing. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions, hopefully now you have several people that you can connect with. We had a couple of others, organizations that we listed in the chat for you. So have a great start to the week and the rest of the week. And if you have any questions or if anything comes up, please let us know. If there's any other topic that you'd like to see in one of our upcoming idea exchanges over the next few months, please let me know. I think we're looking at one on our new membership initiative will be in February. And then we'll probably be looking at least one more on fundraising. So, but there's lots of other opportunities. So have a great rest of the evening and thank you for joining us, and see you soon. You can unmute if you want to, if you don't want to talk to anyone, but thank you for being here